This is East Carolina Hall of Famer and Utah Jazz first-round draft pick Blue Edwards. You're listening to Pirate Basketball Overtime on the Sports Subjective, your home for the best East Carolina hoops coverage.
Welcome into Pirate Basketball Overtime right here on the Sports Objective as the Pirates get a big win there at Williams Arena-Minges Coliseum this afternoon. It was 64-59 as they beat Tulsa. 12-4 guys on the year. Very excited about that for the home schedule, winning 75% of their games this year. Bubba Rosenbaum driving back. How are you?
Doing great, Dave. Always nice to pick up the win. Makes the drive much shorter, much easier on the way back. But, it was a tremendous ball game. 14 lead changes. I think 8 ties, 14 lead changes.
Yep.
I was looking over the box score here a couple hours ago. But it was one of those games. We found a way to get it done down the stretch. And much different game. And even though it was nip and tuck the whole way, you felt much better about the performance tonight than you did against South Florida on Wednesday night. And I know we'll dive into a lot of the specifics, but taking care of the basketball tonight was a big deal because the Pirates really didn't shoot it all that well from the floor. Did shoot it pretty well from three, but taking care of the basketball went a long way toward allowing ECU to win this game.
Welcome in our brother all the way in the great state of Connecticut, Matt Semenza. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good, guys, and always good to see you. And although I'm a little mad at you guys because you went to Parker's Barbecue tonight without me, but
you got to come down.
I got to take that in. But really nice win at home. Pirates were a 1.5 point favorite heading into this game, and had the home court advantage, and they were able to protect home court. And even though it got a little dicey there in the last 30 seconds, it felt like that last 30 seconds felt like it took about an hour. The game just simply wouldn't end. But really nice win at home, and this team is able to maintain some positive momentum to finish out the season. So,
guys, have you had Mitch?
Now, Dave, before we go any farther, you see Craig already chiming in on Facebook. He says, "Yo, Matt, you have your pot of coffee brewing because this could go to 3 a.m. I assure you that will not be the case, Craig. About 45 minutes max. But and I'm sure I may live to eat those words. But I do guarantee that it will not be 3 a.m.
It might be 2:30, but what about 2:30?
It's funny because the other night when we were doing a show, we were on so long towards the end, my eyes were actually closing. So, Craig, I do have I got the coffee pot going, brother.
That's right. I think, are you a Monster Energy or energy drinks? Is that you, Matt, or not?
Not me. I can't drink that stuff. I had heart palpitations. Drank it one time. Coffee for me.
Same here, brother. I like the aftertaste of those drinks. I don't have that problem. I just don't like the aftertaste of that stuff. It just I'm not a fan. But anyway, hey, I'm not a judgmental guy. If you want to drink your energy drinks, go for it. As long as you pull for the Pirates, that's all I care about. But a great win tonight. Very excited for the program. Very excited for Joe Dooley, guys. You know how hard I've been pulling for him, and 15-13 on the year right now. We're 2 games over 500, and I look back at the stats tonight because I know Bubba would be proud of me. And we only played 19 games last year, but we only won 8 games. I knew it was less than 10. I just wanted to make sure that it was. I knew it was less than 10 that we won. I wanted to make sure I said it correctly and didn't misspeak for Bubba's sake because he's awesome with stats. But 8 wins, and we're already at 15. We could double our win total from last year. And to me, I think that's a really big deal. Having 12-4 record at home, the homestand, we did very nice there. And we're starting to win on the road. I mean, that's the thing that we've always struggled. Even back in the day, we struggled with that, especially now we're in a really, really big boy league with the American. And I think another thing that a few people have mentioned to me, guys, real quick, and then we'll get into the game, is the fact that I never really thought about it before, but why would you get rid of Dooley when you're losing Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF in your league, and we have more of a chance to win the league? So I really find it strange if an athletic director would fire a coach or not give a guy an extension when he gives you a winning record. I mean, we're knocking at that door. If you told me we were going through that stretch of losing 6 straight that we'd have a shot at a winning record, I would have laughed at you, especially knowing our Pirate basketball has been so bad over the years.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The league is about to change dramatically here. So when those teams leave, it's another opportunity for East Carolina to step up and move up into that upper echelon of the league. And you really hate to see those teams go because it's such a competitive league right now from top to bottom. And, you hate to see those teams go, but it is what it is. Nobody's going to stop that. Another opportunity to move the team, propel forward. So, I think people tend to forget that. But I agree, Dave. It's now is not the time to go out and change your coach. We have some momentum here. Keep it going. This is not the time to change. Keep it going. Give this man the resources he needs to be successful. It's like Coach McCarthy the other night. Mac McCarthy had a really interesting response to one of our questions when we asked, what is it that we should do, to help? And he said, listen to Coach Dooley. Listen to what his needs are for the program, what he wants. Give him the resources he needs to be successful. So that's what we really need to do. And I just firmly believe he's the guy for the job.
Hey guys, how about this? I know it's 2 different stints of 4 seasons each, but Dooley tonight, this afternoon, he said, I believe Bubba helped me out. It's over 100 wins. It's like 101 wins as a head coach at East Carolina. Are you kidding me? 101 wins as a basketball coach at East Carolina. Just think about that. Let that simmer. Figure that out about how tough it is to win at East Carolina, and you've got a guy that's won over 100 games there. I think that's a really big deal.
Yeah, split between those 2 stints, obviously, before back in the 90s and now in his 4th season of his second stint. But, kind of going back to tonight's game, and then I'm sure we'll talk more about the big picture of things here in a few minutes. But tonight's game, I referenced all those ties and lead changes. You really couldn't have asked for a better start for the Pirates. I mean, we came out knocking down shots, and Tristan Newton, what a performance by him. 27 points, shot an excellent percentage, 8 out of 14 from the floor. Didn't miss many threes at all, and we'll go over the exact numbers in a few minutes. But heck of a night for Tristan, one of his top performances. And there are only 2 Pirates that scored in double figures, but Tristan really came up big. And Vance Jackson, even though he didn't have one of his better games in terms of his total number of points, he did knock some big shots down late. And, he was fortunate that time out of the corner, and you'll take what you can get when he banked in that corner 3 off the top corner of the backboard.
That was absolutely nuts. But, as far as these games, I love, guys, when we were before pre-Dooley, maybe early on in Dooley's second tenure, we're losing 12, 15, 20, 30 points a night. And you're going, oh my gosh. I remember Bubba and I were talking about this a few years ago, Matt, before you really joined us as a regular here. The very fact of we were embarrassed. Like, you see the game on television, the game is on, and, it's like you're watching your team and you're like, I can't flip away because it's my team, but man, we're just really bad, to where now the games are competitive. Like tonight, I mean, it was such a nail biter. It could have gone either way. And you feel like now that, people, Bubba, you're right. People are like, the people that are the keyboard bandits, on the message boards, they don't realize when they say, oh, we beat a bad team. Well, you can say that, but before we used to struggle against the bad teams. We didn't even beat the bad teams. And also, we're beating the people we should beat now, and we're sneaking up and beating like a Memphis, a brand name, every year. We had Houston last year, and that's the only game we were not in. So I'm happy about this afternoon. The only thing I was mad about this afternoon, guys, two things. One, the attendance was, I mean, they have it listed as 3,569. I know I'm not great at math, but that was based on season ticket sales. There's no way there's 3,500 there today, which is really sad. What else are you doing in Greenville, North Carolina, Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m.? I mean, it was a perfect time for a ball game for the fan base. I was really disappointed about that and upset about that. The second thing is I was really upset about, and we could talk about this later on, but really upset how long it took the refs to decide that. I mean, what they could have decided in like 2 minutes. I appreciate you want to get the call right, but that call took forever. I love replay, but times like that, I really eat my words on thinking replay is a good thing.
Yeah, and I don't even think they got one of those calls. I don't even think they got right down the stretch. I think trying to remember exactly what play it was there, but there was the play where they shot the front end of a one-on-one. It was a missed shot. Vance Jackson went for the ball for the rebound, and it was kind of a back and forth between him and one of the Tulsa players, and it went out of bounds. Ultimately, I thought that ball went off of I thought the Tulsa player was out of bounds, and he had his hand on the ball last, and they missed that call. So they did seem to take a long time, and they actually, I thought they botched one of them.
And wasn't that the same one where the clock was that the same one where the clock was not running? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, that was. I think they got the time right. I was telling you guys in the group text, I knew that it was at least 3 seconds, that it was be on the clock. It was 4.8, and the ball was, released from his hand. It goes off to the left side from my vantage point of the arena from that end. And I was like, there has to be a couple seconds off of the clock. And they finally got that right, but they didn't get the part that was crucial for us, which is that it should be East Carolina ball. But
right. Well, there were a few interesting situations with the clock, and I don't know if it was evident. You guys were in the stadium, but there's about 5 seconds left in the game. We had scored. Tulsa was inbounding the ball. We had one foul to give, so Coach Dooley elected to, let's use that foul. They inbounded the ball, and J.J. Miles fouled so quickly. Only about 0.5 seconds went off the clock, and it was just a little error there on his part. It's easier to sit there and watch on TV, but had he let that, just 1 or 2 more seconds come off the clock there, we would have been in much better shape. The game would have essentially been over on that missed free throw, but just a little blunder there. But there were so many little things that happened in that last 20 seconds. The game just took forever to end.
I was telling people, Bubba, that was the longest 5 seconds of my life.
Yeah, definitely probably the longest that it's taken to play 5 seconds in any East Carolina basketball game that I've attended. But now, kind of going back to the way things unfolded in the first half, Tulsa was shooting lights out, but fortunately, despite them shooting nearly 70% from the floor, they were 13 out of 19. They turned it over 12 times. So that was something that really benefited us from being down just 2 at halftime. And then Coach Dooley in his post-game remarks really applauded our second half defensive effort. Tulsa shot just 25% in the second half, 6 out of 24. So even though they took better care of the basketball, the shots stopped falling. We did a better job of contesting shots. And Luigi DeBow, that's something else. Coach Dooley really appreciated the energy that Luigi brought to things tonight. Only had 3 points, but he had 7 rebounds, also had 3 or 4 assists, had 2 or 3 steals, had 2 or 3 blocked shots. And he's, in a way, not quite as extreme, but he's kind of like Brandon Suggs as far as doing a variety of things.
Yeah, and guys, I tell you what, I was really happy with him. I'm glad you brought him up, Bubba, because Luigi, a couple years ago, you were like holding your breath when he was on the court. He seemed, you could tell he had talent, but he was so raw. But now it's to the point of where, I'm seeing, here's a guy that's 7 foot tall, Matt. I know he's not the most agile person in the world. However, he's actually trying to show it's like he's got his man, but he cheats off his man. And then he's putting some pressure because he knows they're going to shoot threes. Mm-hmm. So it was really cool to see him get ready, he was getting ready to contest a 3-pointer, but yet he jumps back quickly to his man. I said, hey, the guy's giving effort there on defense that maybe even a year ago, maybe the beginning of the season, we wouldn't have seen, but he's going crazy on the court. I love it.
Yeah, he really has. He's a guy that's developed quite a bit, and he's given some big minutes recently. I've noticed the opposing teams love to run pick and roll with their 5-man. So what that does is it brings Luigi, I'm sorry, I always say that name wrong, Luigi, to where he has to defend pick and roll. And he's gotten much better at that, where he can come up and sort of hedge the screen and then get back to his man. And he's given some big minutes. So it's nice to see a player develop like that.
No question.
And even though he only had those 3 points, he did one of his rebounds there in the first half. He rebounded it and then immediately dunked it. And then Coach Dooley really caught attention to the rebound he had right in front of our bench there in the final minutes of the game that allowed us to run 30 more seconds of clock. And I can't remember if it seems like we may have scored on that possession.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't know about you guys, but drives me nuts in basketball is that, I remember many years ago when Coach K said it's true. He said, you may have days when your shots are not going. He said, but you should never, ever, ever be off when it comes to defense. And that's my thing is that, there's going to be nights when we are not shooting well, we're blah, blah, blah on offense. But my gosh, you better be going out there, giving it everything you have, diving for loose balls, putting a hand in your face, whatever you have to do on defense. You know what I mean? That should be a no-brainer. One of the things that's frustrating for me that's a fundamental of the game is rebounding. Mm-hmm. That's something that's just non-negotiable for me when it comes to the game. I mean, that's something that if you're early on in your basketball career like my kids are, or if you're older in the NBA, that's something that's a skill that you've got to have if you're going to be a good basketball player.
It really is. I mean, it's funny you mention that. It's a pet peeve of mine, Dave. Even when I watch, I coach 7th grade AAU, and I just with the kids, my big thing is boxing out. Box out, find your man. And it's interesting when you look at the Pirates in the last few games, we've been giving up a lot of second chance opportunities to these other teams. I mean, tonight we saw it quite a bit. We actually, if you look at the stats here, and I know Bubba's the stat guy, so not to steal your thunder, but we did lose the battle on the boards tonight, 35-26, I think. And we gave up a lot of second chance opportunities just, from not boxing out, like you were saying. So those things can bite you in. And there it is. I'll let Bubba dive into that.
Yeah, looking over the team stats, you see And the Pirates just shot 21 out of 55, 38.2%, but they were a very solid 10 out of 22, 45.5% from the 3-point line. So despite despite just shooting 38% for the game from the floor, those additional shot opportunities and possessions, because of taking care of the basketball, as you see noted there near the bottom of your screen, 8 turnovers for the Pirates in that match. The Pirates had turned it over as few as 8 times. Was in Game 3 against Western Carolina when the Pirates won convincingly over the Catamounts. So I think there may have been 2 other games where the Pirates had 9 turnovers. So excellent job taking care of the basketball, and hopefully that will continue out at Wichita State and moving into the AAC tournament. And then you saw the rebound numbers. The Pirates were out rebounded 35-26, as Dave and Matt mentioned. And take a look at some of the other individual statistics. You see Tristan Newton, 8 out of 14, as I mentioned earlier, 4 out of 5 from 3, 27.5 assists, 4 rebounds for East Carolina. And if he still chooses in the purple and gold for, again, the sophomore from El Paso, Texas. And then the only other Pirate in double figures tonight, or this afternoon, was Vance Jackson. Let me see, did I glance at that right? Yes, Vance Jackson finished with 12.
Yeah, that's hard to believe, Matt, that we only had 2 guys. I know it's true, but it's still hard to believe that you can have 2 guys in double figures and you win the game. But going back to another pet peeve of mine is that Bubba and I talk about all the time is turnovers. Mm-hmm. And only having 8, you can say what you want to. Everybody wants to. It's amazing to me how, like, when I say celebrating our wins, I mean, like, every little thing that we have going for us in basketball right now, and people want to just poo-poo it. I love that term. They just automatically are so negative about basketball that anything good, it's always comes with a caveat. Oh, yes, you won, but you played the worst team in the league. Well, we beat them twice with South Florida. You have the 2 wins against Tulsa. You have Wichita State coming up, which they're not Wichita. And that's the thing, is that all you can ask for, Bubba and Matt, when you guys with football, is we always say when a team like East Carolina in football is, if we could just make it a fourth quarter game and have a shot to win, we'll be okay. And I think that's what Dooley's doing on the hardwood and not the gridiron, is that he's given us a chance to win every single game now, where before it was kind of like Bubba and I are going, wow, we only lost by 12 tonight.
Yeah. No doubt about it. You can see the teams. Seems like they're being a lot more confident in the closing minutes. There's a back and forth game tonight. Just so many lead changes back and forth, and they just seem very confident. They played confident down the stretch, which is nice to see. So I agree with you, Dave. And I'll tell you one thing, going back to those stats that Bubba just showed, the team stats, if you were just to look at that, and you said that, we were able to shoot 45% from 3, and we would win the turnover battle 20-8. I would think that we win that game by 10 or 15 points, but it's such a crazy game in basketball. You just never know. And, but that, I think that's when you look back at this game, I think that's the key stat. Those are the 2 key stats, 45% from 3, and then only 8 turnovers to Tulsa's 20. It's a pretty big disparity there.
No question about it. And to me, Matt, it shows me the team is improving. When you look at that, 45% from the 3, there's so many times it seems like we're 25, 30%. And Bubba and I are saying that's not good enough. It's close is not good enough. And now we see that 45%, you're going, that's higher, way higher than our average for sure. But if you could start shooting anywhere between what, guys, 35, 40%, something like that. That's going to put us where we can win more games. And, you know, I tell you what, you brought up something, Matt, I was going to bring up later, but I guess it's at that point we're 25 minutes into the show, of the word confidence. The confidence has been there at the beginning of the year. Then we had, unfortunately, Murders Row with Suggs and a couple other players going down. We had the COVID scare for 2 weeks right after Christmas, about the same time it happened year before last. And these guys, it's amazing to me how this is one of the best teams in Pirate basketball history of not getting rattled. It seems like I was talking to a buddy of mine and what y'all met tonight, Bubba did, Brian. I said, you know, man, we've seen a lot of bad Pirate basketball. And one of our friends, mutual friends, used to always say, we finish like no Division I basketball school in the country, because what he meant by that, the joke was, the inside joke with the three of us going to those games was, we would be leading the game and then we'd fall apart at the end. And I think what's great about this team is they're tenacious on defense. They're doing a lot better there. And there's, you know, they're kind of representing Dooley. He's got this grit about him, hardworking, no nonsense, and knowing that, hey, you know what, the game, even though the games may be close, keep your composure. We're talking about 8 turnovers. I mean, that is incredible, considering how the team has had trouble, you know, throughout the year. So, you know, B Pays makes a great point. Win this week and Cincinnati loses twice, we are the 7th seed. So we've got to beat Wichita. It looks like we'll be the 7th seed. So that would be fantastic. Remember, Bubba, when they said that the media said we're going to finish dead last, they were wrong. And hopefully we'll have good news to talk about next Saturday night when we're doing overtime. We'll take it literally. We always talk about taking the cliche one game at a time, but and then, you know, what's great is I was telling my son tonight. Are you bringing that back up, Bubba? I was telling my son tonight about early this morning, rather, he was in a tournament. Anything can happen in a tournament. It's a whole new season. And so, you know, you have the game at Wichita. If you can win that, you're 16-13. The Pirates, even when they were not good, Matt, have stolen a game or two in the league's tournament. So, not to say that it'll happen. Anything can happen, but who knows what can happen over the next few weeks, next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Hey, let's go and be a tough out no matter what. I mean, you know, I think you mentioned that this team, you know, they don't give in. They don't quit. They have, to use an old WWF term, intestinal fortitude. So I do like that about this team. And, yeah, certainly let's get this last game and then let's be a tough out regardless of who we play. And I'll tell you, if Newton, if he plays like he did today, we're going to be a tough out because we need his clutch scoring like that. You know, and we're going to need more guys in double digits, you know, than we saw today. But if Newton can really get going like that, if Vance can you know, knock down his threes and be a scoring threat, I think we can definitely give some people headaches, to say the least. So kind of looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Going back to the defensive effort, talked about holding the Golden Hurricane to just 25%, 6 out of 24 after halftime. And one of my big concerns coming into this game, Jariah Horn, very interesting career for him. He's played at a few different schools, and this is actually his second stint or second time playing for Frank Haith in Tulsa. But he had 18 against us the first time, really gave us some issues. I think he was 6 out of 10 from the floor, and then also scored a couple points from the free throw line. But tonight, we made him earn everything he got. Yes, he did finish with 14 points and 6 rebounds, but 7 of those 14 points came from the charity stripe. Just 3 field goals for Jariah Horn. And, yes, some of those other guys that you see there on the screen, guys like Jackson and some others, really shot the ball well from three in the first half, but they did not shoot it particularly well after halftime. And hats off to the Pirates for the job they did on a dry horn.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, Bubba, real quick, sidebar. I really believe that we're going to make a basketball fan out of Kyle. I really do. I think Dooley's that good. That's how good of a coach that Joe Dooley is. That Kyle Barber will be a basketball fan at East Carolina. It's coming soon, folks. Yeah, Matt quoting Gorilla Monsoon.
That definitely got Kyle's attention. He didn't know I could break out some old school wrestling knowledge. So glad that got Kyle's attention there. Yeah, let's get Kyle on the basketball show, man.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, my favorite commentators of all time together would have to be, it's like Matt and Summerall. For football, it would have to be Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan together, hands down. I'll just leave it at that. So, because we're doing a basketball show, but I love those two, and definitely love wrestling. And we'll make, I don't know which will come first. Will Bubba become a wrestling fan or will Kyle become a basketball fan?
I would say, I guess we're probably, it's probably actually pretty equal, Dave.
Yeah.
Because
that's a tough question.
Yeah. Anytime I've watched wrestling, when I'm with friends who've had it on, I've enjoyed it. It's entertaining. It's just something that I've never really, I'm so into other sports or other forms of entertainment that I've never really just made the time to watch wrestling because I've had other stuff going on.
I'll make Kyle Barber a deal right now. If Kyle comes on this show to talk basketball, I will talk NASCAR with you guys. How about that?
Wow.
This Northerner will talk NASCAR.
I'm not a fan of something. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm a huge fan of NASCAR and love, by the way, I thought it was really cool that, real quick sidebar for NASCAR, they really are starting to get the whole, like expand your fan base. And they went out to LA Coliseum and they put a quarter of a mile, like a bull ring kind of thing there. It was fantastic. I think they had like 40,000 fans in Los Angeles. I mean, that's a really big deal. So something like that. So in fact, I think they're going to do that every single year. Before the first official race. It's more like an exhibition for that. But I thought that was a good move on that part. But yeah, we're actually talking East Carolina basketball here on, believe it or not, the Pirate Basketball Overtime. Our sister podcast, by the way, is Talking Racing with Mike Gray. So if you want to listen to anything about racing, then there's your podcast. But guys, getting back to the hardwood here with everything going on, I've talked to more and more people. We're talking about big picture now. The more and more people I'm talking to are just saying, how in the world can people not keep Dooley? Like, how can Gilbert, as somebody told me today off the record, because I won't say who that person is, you guys know who he is, and ladies that listen to the show, that their relationship is frosty. The only kind of frosty I want is at Wendy's. I mean, I'm just really... and Kyle's got jokes. He makes comments in Facebook, but he can't come on a basketball on show on Overtime. But anyway, I really feel confident. I think that, that Dooley's dodged a major bullet. I think he's going to be back next year. I think that it would be ludicrous not to give him at least a 3-year extension on his contract at the minimum. And like somebody else that's a Pirate fan that we know very well said tonight, what do we have to lose? The administration, nobody at East Carolina cares about basketball anyway. Why would you get rid of a coach that has a winning record, who is doubling your win totals from last year to this year? There's so many things that we could spend hours talking about how great Dooley is with recruiting. Look at bringing in Vance Jackson, a guy that no other coach in the past would have ever been able to get, but he did. Kyle thinks that if we get to 17, that we'll get an invitation to the CBI. The question is, will Gilbert accept the invitation? You got to accept the invitation. I mean, you got to take that, because that is a building block for, the sad thing about the season is going to be, guys, that we were this close to being what I predicted. I thought that we would be a bubble team for the NIT. I didn't say we would get to the NIT, but if you think about it, if Suggs doesn't go down, then I don't know that we lose 6 straight games, and the COVID scare for 2 weeks and all that stuff. So anyway, it's great to the good news is where the program is headed in the right direction. And I can't imagine an athletic director firing a coach or not giving him an extension, making him leave when we're a winning program now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bubba.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are going to happen. As they say, ifs and buts or candy nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas. But yeah, as far as Brandon Suggs is concerned, I think if he doesn't go down, then we definitely hang on to that lead against UCF. And then also, the game we lost at home to Cincinnati at the buzzer, we maybe win that one, and then who knows, maybe we have a chance to win one of those others. But I think we'd at least win a couple of those games probably.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention too is, like, when you look at what Dooley's done here, it's one thing. I think I said the same thing last week. It's really a shame we only got Vance Jackson for 1 year. Unfortunately, he's really been a huge addition for this team. But we know that the portal is going to be a big part of our success every year. It needs to be. Every single year, we're going to need to identify 1 or 2 players that can come in and contribute. And now that you've had success with Vance Jackson, right, Joe Dooley can take that and package it in recruiting. He can go to other players, maybe with a similar background. You look at Vance Jackson. He started at UConn, I think. He wound up at Arkansas. We got him for his final year of eligibility. But you can use that in recruiting and find guys like that out there that you can get for sort of a 1-year rental. I worry if you start over, now you're just building everything from the bottom up again. And I just hope that we can, be able to capitalize on this momentum.
Look, it's very simple. Anybody knows any kind of coaching change that sets the program back. Dooley is not doing anything like off the court that I know of that's illegal, immoral, anything like that. Would be the only way that I could see that you would not bring Dooley back. The fact of the matter is the kids are doing better in the classroom. You got a lot better things there than we had before. You look at the number of wins he has as a Pirate head coach. You look at, I talked about the home record. There's so many things that you can look at and say, okay, yeah, we can pinpoint that things are going in the right direction. And so maybe, and if you, here's the deal. If you get rid of Dooley, you say, okay, Dooley's the problem, right? The problem is now with the portal, it's going to wipe out. Look at South Florida. South Florida was not a bad program. They have a great coach. Bubba, I think they lost, 6 players at the portal? You're getting ready to lose by 20 or 30 every night. 7. They lost 7 players at the portal.
That's insane. That is insane.
And not only did they lose that many, not only was it such a high volume, I mean, they lost guys that, have been tremendous producers at their current schools. You have Collins at Clemson that's averaging at least 10, 11, maybe even 12 points and like 7 boards as a guard. And then you have Alexis Yetna, who's doing very well at Seton Hall. You have Castaneda, who's like 12 and a half and 4. And the guys they lost to the portal, unlike some of the ones that we saw move on, are significant contributors at their current institutions.
Several players that are in double figures, if my memory serves me right. So They lost a lot of offense. What I'm trying to say, I can't predict who you would lose, but I definitely think Newton's gone. A whole bunch of players are gone. And how about these great – you were talking about the transfer portal. You know what's cool about Dooley, guys, is you can't say he's microwaving the program because he's bringing in these freshmen that are very good. Felton, Small, Reyes. Hey, Reyes comes off the bench and makes 2 free throws, ices the game. Champagne on ice, baby. So I love Dooley. I'm a huge fan of Dooley. I think that when it's all said and done the next couple of weeks, unless things change, things are looking a lot better that he'll be retained. The question is ultimately for me, how many years will they add to the extension for the contract? Contract extension is what I think is the big deal right now, the elephant in the room. And like I said, I would prefer a 4 or 5 year extension to his deal right now. I'll tell you why. That helps for recruiting big time. Nobody can recruit against a guy that has that big a vote of confidence in the program. And like I said, what do we have to lose? As we had Coach Mack on when he was talking to Walter Williams, he said, I don't have another 5 year plan. And he was right because he passed away. So we don't need to keep doing that every 4 or 5 years, change your coach because it's not working.
Especially not when your program's trending in the right direction, as ours clearly is. It's obvious. I mean, this is the most wins we've had in the season since the 2013-2014 season when we went 17-17. And, that was the year after the CIT run where we had a lot of key pieces such as Sampson, Armstrong, etc., that elected to move on, who we thought we were going to have back, and we still managed to win 17. But yeah, this is our best home record and our best overall record since that 2013-2014 season. So we would be crazy to move on. I really don't think we will move on. I mean, move on being going a different direction from Joe Dooley. But if we were, I would not be a happy camper, to say the least. And but I really, one of the things I saw that was encouraging tonight when that game was over, you had John Gilbert right there in the corner of the arena as the team was going to the locker room, and he was high-fiving and fist-bumping the coaches and players as they headed to the locker room. So that was awesome to see. And then also you have B. Page chiming in regarding the transfer portal discussion. Very interesting tonight. Yes, you had Vance Jackson, who was a one-year player from the portal coming in from Arkansas, had also been at New Mexico and UConn, but then also J.J. Miles, his 3rd year in the program. Those two were listed as seniors, but then you had Lucci DeBow and also Tremont Robinson-White, who were recognized in the senior night festivities. So it will be interesting to see if, that was kind of one of those deals that you've had in the past in football where you had a guy walk on senior night, so to speak, and go through the ceremonies, but then return. My guess is that they'll probably move on, but we definitely like to have either of them back. But let's say they do, in fact, leave the program. You were just going to have one slot available because of Vance Jackson. J.J. Miles' slot was one that the Pirates would be losing. That was an additional scholarship because of COVID. So if they're not coming back in the program, you would have 3 slots to fill, and that gives you even more flexibility to bring some guys in from the portal. Be it a guy, we want one at least of Vance Jackson's caliber, a guy that's 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", that is versatile. But then you would have the option of, maybe bringing in, best available, somebody that can handle the ball well, like TRW and so forth. Maybe you find a high quality big in the portal that would fill Lucci's spot, because you would certainly want to get some more size or beef down low to go with Zoe Frank.
Yeah, and Winston Tabbs, we haven't even talked about that. Another thing that could have been disastrous for this program is he didn't even play a single game. He hasn't played a single game. You have no Jaden Gardner, obviously. You have no Winston Tabbs, and you already have 15 wins with a chance to have a winning season, and we have a chance to win a few more games. So Johnny Gardner chiming in a little as one spot. If everyone returned 3 if Luigi and TRW are gone, then if anyone transfers. Again, like Bubba said, you never know what's going to happen. They may have done that as a way just in case, to thank them in case they do not come back. But, as Coach Mack and other ones have said, you're recruiting these players every single day. You don't know what's in their head. And maybe they decide to come back. Maybe they're leaning towards not coming back. So they went ahead and did that. But
yeah. I think that's a big, we need to retain what we have and then retain what we have and replace. So we need to hang on to guys like Newton, right? Guys like Suggs, but we have to find, I think every year we need to find 1 or 2 guys in the portal that can be instant impact. In an ideal world, you get them for at least 2 years, but it doesn't always work out that way. But, I think it's going to have to be, that sort of has to be the model here. Retain what you have, recruit well, but then add 1 or 2 instant impact guys in the portal every year. And, just to kind of go back to that, conversation about Dooley potentially getting an extension. My worry is, and I'll kind of throw this to you guys, and we keep hearing of this quote unquote frosty relationship. Is there too much damage done? Does Dooley want to come back? Does he feel like he doesn't have the resources here? He needs to be successful. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now when we're talking about, we don't think that Dooley will be fired, because that would be idiotic to fire someone who has a winning program, especially when you're seeing the trajectory of the program is heading up. I think that what it comes down to for me is, first of all, you give Dooley, like I said, a minimum 3, 4, 5 year extension, number one. Number two is you promise the guy, like you said, Matt, it comes down to that. What we need at East Carolina is a commitment to the basketball program. When in '92, when Carville said it's the economy stupid, not to get into politics, but it's the commitment stupid. It's the commitment stupid. That's what it is. We don't have any kind of commitment to basketball. We're not going to spend hours up here, but that's what it comes down to. So make a commitment to basketball, or just drop the sport. If you don't care about the sport, drop the sport. I'm at that point where I really feel like we need to have a sense of urgency. Our back is against the wall. Let's go for it. I think, they're asking, why is it frosty? I tell you why. Because Joe is a no-nonsense guy. No offense to people in Jersey at all, Matt, my friend. But I think he's sometimes people can misconstrue passion. The guy's a very passionate guy when it comes to his job. And he's no nonsense. He's one of those guys that has a really good personality. If you get to know him, he jokes around, and he's a serious guy. That doesn't mean I've noticed that for people, they have a misconception about Joe, about his personality. They're way off course. You have to really get to know Joe. I'm not very close to Joe, but what I do know of him, covering the basketball program, we would love to do it more, obviously, but he's a really cool guy. I'll tell you a great thing I told Bubba tonight. It was incredible. My son and daughter went with me to the game, and of course they're not going to go inside the press conference because it's unprofessional. So a buddy of mine, we're sitting out with my kids, and Dooley walks up to my son and says, "Hey, Alex, how are you doing?" He hasn't seen my son in a couple years, or a good while, maybe. And it's not like that I just said, "Hey, coach, this is my son, Alex." But my point being, he's a very conscientious person. He cares about people. He's a lot of fun. He is a guy you could have a beer with and have a good time. And so I think there's maybe a culture difference maybe with Gilbert. He's not like the all shucks kind of guy.
Right.
But I could care less. I just want to win basketball games. Like I was telling kids, telling kids with these basketball teams, my son and daughter, and also with my team at work, is that just because you're not best friends doesn't mean you can't go for the common goal. And I think if you're Gilbert, like, aren't you happy that you have 15 wins as an East Carolina program?
Well,
Maybe
as
not.
not not year in, year out, but during our current extension to where we want to be, absolutely, that's why you got to keep things in perspective on where this program has been, where it was when Joe took it over. Yes, he's making more than any coach we've ever had. A little bit more than Jeff Lebo, not all that much more, if I recall correctly. But at the same time, just because Joe's making more and he has more things going for him, in a lot of ways, it also does not mean that relative to the competition, it really pales in comparison to a lot of our competitors. So he still has a very steep uphill battle. And I think a lot of people forget that sometimes. So make no mistake about it. This season to this point is clearly a step in the right direction. And I'm very interested to see where it goes from here. But, kind of going back to the why is it Frosty situation and Craig, it was really just a lot of little things, a lot of, Steve and I go hoist the colors and give him credit here. He's done some digging behind the scenes. He's well connected, obviously. And Steven was talking about some of those things, such as the chartering situation. That may have been one of them, but also maybe a deal where the basketballs that opposing teams had to use in their shoot around were not acceptable, and it wasn't the easiest thing to get those up to par. Then you also had a lack of promotion or maybe no promotion of the season tickets, and that kind of goes back to a couple of things today. You had one ticket window open. You had the will call window, and then one other window, and Johnny Gardner, yes. He got there just 5 or 10 minutes before the game, but he missed at least 6 or 7, maybe 8 minutes of that ball game because he's in line trying to buy a ticket. That's ridiculous.
Same for me.
We got to get little things like that fixed.
Terrible.
And then also, this is senior night. Why are we not doing the things? Yes, you had the game day tweet as always by ECU basketball's account, but nothing besides a retweet that I noticed from ECU athletics on Twitter. I think we could do more via social media to promote our events, and and this was senior night, so put out 50 seconds of Miles they were going to be participating, that being Luigi and TRW, and that 60-second video saying, "Hey, Pirates final home game, come out and help East Carolina finish 12 and send off these 4
I think
you get a few hundred more people out because of it."
No question, Bubba. And people I talk to, by the way, you want to know how we can raise more money for the program? We can do it by what we want, the tip-off dinner. We're going to do that, the Midnight Madness. At charge admission, people will come. You got to give them notice. You got to I think that's one thing, guys, that I'm really proud of being a dad is the fact that my kids, I love the fact they love to go to the games with me. But I've always made it like a big deal. Hey, this is a chance for us to spend time together. I don't want to go to these games and not have my kids with me. Like I'm trying to get away from them when I enjoy every second I have with them, right? And I think we've got to make it like that. You got to make it not about me, but you got to make it an event. You got to make people care even before people talk about the wins and losses all they want to, which is right. You know, of course, you want to have a winning product, as Dooley talked about when he took the job again in that first press conference, put the winning product on the court. However, there's a lot of things that we've talked about many times on this show that people can do to make it a success. And we were talking the other night about the charters. Well, if you raise money on the tip-off dinner and you raise money on Midnight Madness, you could use all that money to charter money. And guess what? That will help you win more games this time of the year in February. Nobody can convince me that chartering a plane, it will not win more games. It will, especially when you have the coaching staff we have. I'm not just saying that chartering planes equals wins, but it definitely, the team, you can't argue the team would not be more fresh if we chartered more games.
Well, that's something like you're saying. We won't beat a dead horse, but that's something that Coach Mack really talked about the other night, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, when you're able to fly directly from whatever location back to Greenville, as opposed to flying from from Houston. Now, I'm just throwing out a random example. I don't know how that worked out this year, but in the past, we would fly from Houston to up somewhere in the Midwest and to Charlotte, or where you fly 2 or 3 different spots before you wind up back in Greenville, and that certainly takes a toll on the body.
No question. And so hopefully we get those things done. There's Pace saying buy tickets on your phone, show them at the door. Come on, Pace. You're looking at me.
And then Mark Calloway, Dave, says that ain't little. I'm guessing he's referenced one of the things that I mentioned as far as details. And I agree with you, Mark. The little things are big things, but and when I said details, I just meant more. Things that the average fan probably wouldn't even think about. Things that are taken for granted. But I do agree with you. If we have, I think it was Tulane and then maybe Memphis or somebody, we got at least a couple of complaints, if not more, about the balls that we were providing for the opposition to use for their shoot around.
And I heard that Dooley went out and purchased balls himself, which is a travesty that a head coach would have to go out and buy new basketballs. It's just things like that.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. Here's the deal. Are we asking Gilbert and everybody at the Ward Sports Medicine building to spend as much as Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, not even the top of the league here. But when we're dead last, when we're not buying basketballs, I mean, Gilbert, the 3 people on this podcast can go to a sporting goods store in Greenville, buy new basketballs and take it to that's embarrassing, and when we have administration that's making so much money, they couldn't go out and buy them themselves. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. So we've got to do a better job of getting it together. And one final thing I would say, because I know we're running way long, Bubba, and we're not going to make it to, I'm sorry, Craig, we're not going to make it to 3:00 in the morning, but maybe next time. For me, just the fact that what is it going to take for these folks to realize that basketball has a chance to make money? It's the second, as far as a revenue sport, it's number 2 at East Carolina, in my opinion. And I love baseball, so nothing against Cliff Godwin. He knows how much we love him and the support of that. Football is always going to be king. We're not delusional there. But basketball should be number 2 in revenue. And the way you get that is wait for it. Make a commitment to basketball. I'm done. Whatever you guys want to say, we'll get out of here.
Yeah, as far as your point, Dave, the revenue potential for basketball is obviously a lot greater. You look at attendance this year. I went back and kind of crunched some numbers as far as average attendance. You talked about tonight. Yes, like Coach Dooley mentioned in the post game, and you'll be able to hear those remarks on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe there. and we'll also have some other footage from Minges tonight. But the arena was still not even half full, and that's announced attendance. So,
Yep.
so I mean, so much more potential there, and obviously, you have another 2,000-3,000 in attendance. You would hope that apparel and concession sales would reflect that, and that's something else tonight. And I know they have to make hard decisions because of the amount of workers, and then also a number of variables. But I know Riley and Johnny Gardner, our good friend and viewer of the show, they went to get something at halftime, and the line in the lower arena there by the team store was so long that they had to go up to the upper arena, and the line there was a little bit more managed. There you go, Riley. Riley's chiming in his sleep. He said the line in the upper arena was more manageable, but
those self-inflicted wounds are they become embarrassing. They really have. I mean, not to go off on a tangent here, but I was at a football game earlier this year at the South Carolina game, and you want to go for a simple drink in the stadium, and you're going to miss half of a quarter because the lines are so outrageous. These things have to be fixed, but I don't want to go off on that whole tangent. But just a few things I want to say on the way out here. Love talking hoops, but we're a day closer to spring football, fellas. Can't wait for our positional previews coming up for spring ball here. Really starting to get excited about that. So that's kind of right around the corner. And, one thing I want to say too was after this show, I'm going to go back to watching the news and just saying prayers for the people in Ukraine right now as they fight this battle against Russia. Just really intrigued to see how this thing unfolds here over the next few days, and kind of glued to the TV watching that, guys. So prayers to the people in Ukraine.
Yeah, ironically, that's the one thing is taken, not to get off a political tangent, but Congress, guys, actually is doing something bipartisan. It takes a crazy man in the Kremlin to get our Congress to realize to work together. But I'm happy they're working together. I'm happy to finally, I will just say this. Thank you to the people in the Ukraine for standing up for your country. I know that there's a movie to watch, guys. There's a remake, but obviously from 1984, I believe it was Red Dawn. Great movie. And I would highly recommend that. And I tell you, I'll say this for our friends at Pirate Nation. There's over 300 million guns in the country. I think about half of them are in the southern part of the United States. I think that Vladimir Putin is smart enough not to invade the South, because if you think the Ukraine right now, the Ukraine, by the way, is the size of Texas. But can you imagine if the Russians came to the southern part of of the United States where there's a lot of guns? I don't think they would fare too well. Really proud of the way the Ukraine folks are standing up, and
no doubt.
And I'm glad that the 30 countries together, as I was telling you guys, it had to be a NATO mission, never been done before, that all 30 countries are agreeing, and they're like, they're going to give supplies and all that. So we'll see how it definitely plays out. But guys, it definitely reminds us how we are in the best country in the world. We can be doing a show about basketball at 12:16 Eastern, and we don't have to worry about somebody raiding our computers and taking our technology away from us for saying whatever we want to say about basketball or life in general.
Can we drop a Moab on Vladimir Putin's head? You know what that is, right? A Moab. Yeah. That's the mother of all bombs, right on his head.
Yeah.
That's my final thought for tonight.
Hey, Kyle and I may disagree on a lot of the show, but we agree on. Oh my gosh, Vladimir Putin is the worst. But I don't want to ramble on about that. Bubba, do you have anything before we go?
Yeah, very quickly, a few things. B Page chimed in one more time saying, do we have or do we even have an app for tickets? We do have some sort of way to transfer tickets if you're not going to be able to use your tickets. There is a way to do that electronically. That's not something that I've been able to, or that I've attempted to do thus far, but I'm not sure of all the capabilities of that service, or if there's an app you can get from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. So that is something worth looking into. And then also 23 Jungle Tales. 23 Jungle Tales, we had number 5 earlier this afternoon, as I caught up with Jonathan Jenkins, better known as JJ, pitcher for the Pirates from 87 to 90 for Coach O. So definitely go back and check that out on our YouTube channel, as well as anywhere our podcast is found. And then also Pirate Baseball, unfortunately, has lost the first 2 in the series against North Carolina. And the Pirates are ranked 25th. I think the Tar Heels are 26th. Depending on the poll. But it was going to be a very competitive series, and it's been just that thus far. With North Carolina winning 7-4 and 2-0, Pirates really looking to get the bats going. Hopefully, the weather will allow Sunday's game that's scheduled for a 4 p.m. first pitch to be played. Jake Hunter, a true freshman, will be on the mound for the Pirates, and then. Other than that, guys, I'd just say, just stay tuned. We're going to have plenty of tremendous content headed your way. Like Matt mentioned, we'll have positional breakdowns over these next 2+ weeks. Spring ball starts on March 15th. We caught up with new outside receivers coach, Raekwon Boyette, so go back and check that out on our YouTube channel or anywhere our show is found, pretty much any podcast platform. And this coming week, we'll probably get those positional previews underway as we have a little over 2 weeks to get those in before the start of spring ball. We'll also catch up with hopefully one of our men's basketball assistant coaches, either Steve DeMayo or George Wright Easy.
A lot of great coaches from the spring as well. I know Coach Moore from lacrosse. We'll try to get her on, and some other ones too. So
yeah, Kevin Williams from men's golf will be another.
Yeah, Kevin Williams. Thank you very much, Bubba. And Matt, are you pinch hitting for me tomorrow night or later today for extra
baseball? For baseball?
Yeah, you got to do that. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to come on. You got to next man up.
Hey,
your big boy pants.
I'll take one for the team, buddy. I'll take one for the team.
Okay. Unfortunately, guys, I have to work, so not to make it about me, but Matt Semenza will be filling in. Taking my spot, and I appreciate him very much for doing that, as I know how much he loves baseball. So I appreciate you, buddy, for
anytime.
Totally appreciate that, Dave. Yeah, that was my whole point in bringing up baseball, and totally forgot to plug extra innings, being so exhausted. But yeah, Trent Britt from Next Level Training Center, he'll be joining us. So it'll be me, Trent, Matt, and then I guess possibly Kyle on tomorrow night on extra innings. Hopefully we'll have a 4th game for this week. Pirates victorious over Campbell, and hopefully we'll be able to play a game and get a win over the Tar Heels tomorrow. But be sure to tune in for that sometime tomorrow evening.
And I tell you what, guys, if Kyle doesn't show up, then he has to do the pencil rolls finally. We've let him off the hook for a couple of years now. Pencil rolls in Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. He loves it. He says he can do it very well. So we'll let Kyle do the pencil rolls if he doesn't show up tomorrow night for extra innings. Brought to you by Next Level Training Center in Greenville. So we'll see how that plays out. All right. Thanks very much to my good friend Matt Semenza. Thank you, buddy. Get back on the slopes tomorrow for me. Enjoy the slopes. And Bubba Rosenbaum, thank you so much, my friend, for all your hard work. And I know you've been working hard driving back for sure, all the way back home to the Charlotte area. Appreciate you very much in China Grove. Until next time, again, one more time, mention the Pirates victorious this afternoon, 64-59. You've been watching, listen to Pirate Basketball Overtime right here on the Sports Objective. Good morning, everybody, and go Pirates.